According to Mythos, 100% of you are subscribed. Good job!
Hello, hello. Welcome to part 4 of the series where we're going to be going over the lore of every single equation that can be found within Honkai Star Rail's Divergent Universe Human Comedy chapter. My goodness me, that title, still as long as it is, and I still keep on saying it. No, but legitimately speaking, I have been having a lot of fun with this series. This is part 4, so if you guys want to check out the other videos on the destruction, preservation, and the hunt, feel more than welcome to check them out. I have been having a blast going through these, and you'll be surprised, but I think this might be one of my favorite ones so far. I thought I would end up traumatized by the time that I got to the propagation. Well, it already began. The abundance is also freaking terrifying, and many of these equations are so messed up, but I really want to learn more. I'm a big fan of cosmic horror, so if you are one as well, this is gonna be a video you're gonna enjoy. And if you're not, just prepare yourself for like a lot of disturbing things that the abundance can do, especially when being matched up with another path. But yeah, without any further ado, let us begin. The Houyhnhnms. Your thick armor blocks attacks and crushes star skiffs. Your 4 limbs roam around the battlefield as though you have inexhaustible energy. No mortal being is your match. Death nourishes the grass and the blood gathers into streams. The world is a vast wilderness, ready to be trampled and traversed by you. You wield a living weapon, a spear crafted by the Borisin. Its tentacles can pierce through the chest of enemies and devour their bodies. Whenever you charge through the battlefield and fire, cries of agony come from your enemies' throats, as well as the tip of their spear, like the howling wind of wintry nights. Primal instincts and pleasures surge in your body, and you yearn to reclaim the freedom to hunt and kill in this age of iron and fire. You will march relentlessly forward until the day destruction too claims you. Okay, legitimately speaking, I just want to say that name took me forever to pronounce because I read that and I was like, how do I say this? Houyhnhnm, I don't know. Like, I was just trying to like read it out loud and I couldn't. I probably sounded like I was speaking like a lot of gibberish like a second ago, but like those were my genuine attempts at trying to pronounce this until I googled it. That being said, it is really cool that they brought in like mythological horses to be a part of the abundance, especially that they are supporters of Yaoshi. I'm assuming, at least given that they receive weapons from the Borisin, which also I would love to see more of. Seeing Borisin actually wielding proper weapons somehow like in the way that like Houyhnhnm did would be both really cool but also terrifying, and I am signing up for that. The Peculiar Physician. It is often said that only through living can we truly experience joy. Cheeks are the fertile soil for smiles. Toes are the tickles of the waves. And arms are the warmth of an embrace. A smile is both the cost of healing and the reward of life itself. You coil the branches, crafting a heart from the joy of unrestrained drinking. One that eternally slurps at fresh blood. You seek out skin and flesh, nurturing the palm that will surely applaud when the final curtain falls. The prosthetics of the incapacitated always dance to the rhythm of the music, while the throats of the voiceless twist into sneers at the presumptuous words of politicians. In the place where you have healed, laughter erupts uncontrollably. Arms, hearts, skin, and even cells reveling in laughter. In the end, even the faces of the terrified cannot help but break into smiles. Okay, this one is particularly creepy. Like, genuinely speaking, I love the idea of this person trying to heal people by making them feel happy again and like bring them joy. But then it reached the point that it is enforced upon them, like they must enjoy life. And it's just kind of, I don't know, it's unsettling. Like, even like the final phrase saying, even the faces of the terrified cannot help but break into smiles. It's like, Jesus. The Symbiote. Another newborn breaks free from its cocoon. You can feel an itch, an annoying pain under your skin. It nibbles away the subcutaneous tissue that gets in its way. The mixture of its gel-like secretions and the pus from the wound solidifies on the inner wall of the nest, becoming the breeding ground of an immortal corpus. It wriggles slowly to shift its body to another direction. Just like countless of its peers, it pierces through the final layer of skin and worms its way out of its host. When you stroke it, feeling pleased for its birth, the milky white larva lifts its head, bites your fingertip instinctively, and swallows the flesh and blood you feed it. What a familial feeling of pain. The soul-snatch bees that fill your body numb your nerves with their venom, and their collective biting resembles an elegant concerto. You let out a maniacal laugh to celebrate your wonderful immortality. It wriggles slowly to shift its body to another direction. Just like countless of its peers, it pierces through the final layer of skin and worms its way out of its host. When you stroke it, feeling pleased for its birth, the milky white larva lifts its head, bites your fingertip instinctively, and swallows the flesh and blood you feed it. Well, abundance is just the gift that keeps on giving, because what the hell? Okay, legitimately speaking, I was assuming, like, I read Marvel comics, so I kind of assumed that this was a sort of Venom situation. No, it's even more disturbing, seeing just like the line where it says that the bees would crawl into the body. So what do you mean these creatures exist? This is why I hate the abundance. Like, I already hated Yao Shi, and now just this, I'm just like, I hate it. I hate this. The Tree of Discard. The leaves climb upward, eclipsing the sky and bathing in the light of stars. As the branches are weighed down by gravity, a beam of sunlight descends through the gap onto the new sprouts below, allowing them to stretch out their bodies. As the excess nutrients are passed through the filtering veins to the entangled roots below, you accept their mood in relief. They want to grow even taller, all the way up close to the sun. The new shoots take root within your body and absorb even more vitality. As your branches wither and yellow and your leaves decompose, they provide new life with fresh nutrients. How much taller does it have to grow? Your trunk is filled with intricate root systems. Within your corpse, they will rise even higher and climb to the stars before them. Then, these roots will ensnare that ball of flame and swallow it. Welp, back-to-back propagation equations. What the, okay, like, I feel like I'm just sound like a broken record, but once again, all of this just so disturbing. It's so descriptive. I really want to see what this tree looks like about this point, because it genuinely keeps on feeding and it's trying to grow towards the sun to consume it, which like makes sense because of photosynthesis, but like the whole sun, it's oh god. The Wingweaver. You enjoy flying in the sky, with your great wings flapping in the wind. Bullets from enemies once pierced through your wings, but they quickly recovered with their mark. The winged messenger seeks shelter in enormous trees, sending the mortal weak ones to the Cloud Kingdom and bringing miracles of abundance to the suffering human world. When you swoop down from the branches, you are surrounded by a furor of air exploding, filled with the residents of dirt scream. Those humble creatures should bow to you instead of putting up foolish resistance. You seize your prey and drag him into the clouds, relishing in the thrill as he wiggles in fear. He should thank you for enslaving him. The screams wane over the distance until he is reduced to paste. You are the cloud lords that dictate the fate of mortal beings on the ground. Well, I guess we're going 5 for 5 in the abundance because every single one-star equation has been a lot of fun to read, and that I want to just make at least a little comment in particular because this one is related to one of the factions of the abundance that we have heard of before, which is the Wingweavers. And I didn't expect this to be the first time where I learn more in depth about how they operate or their ideologies or the fact that they enslave people. But yeah, I want to assume that they're probably from the Yao Qing or the Chu Chui. I have genuinely no idea though, this is just speculation. But I really hate the fact that just because they have wings, they think they're superior. The Eternal Stranger. Immortality is the undying curse, as well as eternity's blessing. All living beings suffer, but there is no one to help them. You sought an elixir from the divine traces of Yao Shi, listened to their compassionate teachings, and embarked on the never-ending journey of rescuing the suffering. The regent of Kum Jade melted the steel of the entire planet to forge 30 million pairs of eyes and ears to monitor every movement of the citizens. Rising from the wailing of children, you march to the royal capital and behead the regent. The evil demons of Purlang weaved through the nebulas, devouring ships with its treacherous tentacles. You ride a slender boat into its abdomen and carve its heart out. Willows wrap around your chest and reach to your waist. The mortal wounds heal, signaling your journey is far from reaching its end. The immortals have their own responsibility. You pick up the sword that could slice through iron and steel, listening to the pleas for help from the stars. The Graveward Lunatic. As you jump from the ionosphere of planet Freya, the insane atmosphere ablates your flesh, peels off your skin, and ignites your bones before they regrow, only to be reduced to a pulp on contact with the ground as you hit the land. As you lie down on the ground of the abandoned city, the bullets of the local hoodlums offer you a warm welcome. As they unleash their ammo, their wanton laughter slowly grows silent, and it turns into fear. What could possibly be better than an immortal body? You could jump into the forest of planet Reedman, be devoured by a killer bird, and carve apart its body from inside its stomach. You wish to enjoy Tortani's bath once more, as the remnant radiation from its annihilation causes your skin to ulcerate and your blood to flow from all orifices. In your suffering and agony, you are filled with a tangible feeling of being alive. You die over and over again, just for greater and greater stimulation. So, I mean, I shouldn't be surprised that the elation and the abundance leads to this. Especially given the enjoyment of things and the fact that the person's immortal, I guess. Like, but what in, like, Hoyo, why? I didn't, like, you can tell that the abundance is breaking me. I didn't want to comment on every single one of the equations. That's why I skipped the previous one, but I guess I'm gonna have to if everything keeps being like this. The Pyromancer. Toxins accumulate in the heart, while abominations parasitize the arms, leaving you to witness countless incurable ailments where patients writhe in agony, unable to find solace even in sleep. Some afflictions are embedded into their genes, and removing them would compromise the integrity of the immune system. Others become intertwined with the patient's survival. Once they're cured, the host can never live. You incinerate the root cause of the disease along with its carriers, prescribing a potent remedy known as no pain, no gain. In an instant, the heat sublimates the sickly and unsalvageable heart, while the beam of energy obliterates the arm wrapped in twisted branches and leaves. Destruction stands as a natural enemy of all illness. Once burned in the flames, even the most grotesque viruses have nowhere to hide. You stare as the flames forge new a vessel for the patient, a pure antimatter body, born anew. Hey, look, one that isn't that disturbing and actually gives us lore about the Antimatter Legion. Thank you for this refreshing moment, Hoyoverse. I'm scared for the next one. The Viscorpus. Multiply, multiply, and multiply. You wriggle towards the heat source ahead. It is struggling with all its might. The blue flame penetrates your body, dragging you along through space. You gnaw away its outer shell, allowing your viscous body to seep in through the opening cracks. Your massive body bursts of food to the point of rupture from within. You start aiming for smaller targets, clambering onto their protrusions until you envelop their whole bodies. Then, pulling them in for digestion. Something is tingling your skin. You grow eyes on that spot, locking them in place and mimicking their body structures in response to the heat source's assault. You extend 1/3 of your body and capture them, linking them together with metal. The abundance of nutrients causes your cells to quiver and divide, producing more offsprings. The Borisin. The mecha beast's sharp fangs tear through the battlefield, its insatiable bloodlust and malevolence unmistakable. As it masticates the prey's bridge and devours the opponent's retaliation, shoving it down its throat. Roots made for ingestion peel away the weak skin, tracing its onslaught as you valiantly leap into the heart of the enemy's ship. The blood thrumming in your veins drives you, and even the armor on your back seems to echo with vigor. Sharp fangs slice through throats, claws maul through armor, and the feeble primate trembles under the destruction of the loopy toxin. You extinguish his life as easily as crushing an ant, and this bores you a little. Ignoring the relentless itch that it's penetrating your skin, you hold a weapon that only a slave will use, inching closer to your scattered prey, your body swelling. The cycle of nature sees the weak surrender all to the wolves, slipping on the blood of sheep, gnawing on the bones and flesh, and draping on howling furs, the blades of war shall paint the lands in crimson red. The armor shatters, your blood mixes with its blood. Clusters of wounds erupt all over your body before quickly healing. You have forgotten how long it had been since you were this happy. It's making you eagerly desire, clutching onto your prey's throat, tearing off its head, and causing you to enjoy this red mist stained by slaughter so very much. The fallen beast ship is still lapping the battlefield, as if it knows no pain. Fear is an emotion alien to the Borisin. More and more prey appear before you. They treat this as a capture operation, but you consider it a hunt. Dash into enemy formations. The rage of a lone wolf stirs up a corner of the flames of war, just like a memory etched into time. Vultures and primates shredded its flesh, crushing the trapped beast into submission. It gnawed off those terrible wings and chewed through the whip-like tail before breaking out of the almighty torrent of blood and flesh. Pulling the spear tip out, you imbibe your own blood. It tastes sweet, imbued with the blessing of the Master of Immortality, and has witnessed alongside you the annihilation of many nations or people. Perhaps today you'll come to witness your own annihilation. That's for later. Your spear snaps, so you stretch out your claws. Once those are blunted, your bare fangs. Then they break and reappear as your bones regrow. You can see the prey swaying now. Even if they can resist the loopy toxin, their pupils cannot help but shrink to pink ribs. You stand up from a pool of blood, your canine fangs bearing forward uncontrollably. Your leg bones and muscle grow with the power of the abundance, and your gaze cannot help but descend to gaze down upon the feeble life forms before you. Begin the hunt. The moon is out. Okay, so real quick before we wrap up this segment with the Borisin, again, why do Borisin not use weapons in the game? We see all these Borisin attack us with their bare hands, and I just want to see some that actually use these weapons that would be able to debuff us. Honestly, the idea of Borisins just being like the nihility, like in terms of like enemies and like what kind of role they accomplish, would be really cool to see. So I want to see more Borisin weaponry. The Herbplucker. It is said that abundance is the kindest panacea. It heals both the sick and sorrowful. Yet, those unworthy of a cure gain immortality, while those who deserve to live die without even a burial place. The Herbplucker does not pluck herbs. Humans are what they pluck. The sick and penniless see you as a god and sculpt statues in your honor. The powerful and wealthy see you as a drug and imprison you in a cage. They drain your blood, distilling it into poison in test tubes. As they lay on their deathbed, they fire bullets into your chest. Yet, the only ones who do not age or die are the Herbplucker. Their benedictions never seem to wane. You travel from planet to planet, restoring the overflowing life force to all beings. Yet, greed always eclipses goodness, and calamity always comes before healing. If this has always been the way of the world, oh yeah, sure, what truly defines Panacea? and what defines a good physician. An impromptu gathering, a needle that shoots into your skin, chain restraints, and the experiment pod walls. If you had known sooner that showing their blessing to the elder would have won you an invitation here from the people behind the curtains, would you have made the same choice? Without question, I have experienced this a million times already. You look outside the pod at the aged man funding the operation. He doesn't even have the strength to look at you in the eyes. Greed will bring disaster. No one responds to your warning. A powerful sting pain envelops your body. It feels as if your very veins were being torn open, and you were being reduced to medicinal powder. The terrifying vitality flows into their bodies with your blood plasma and medicinal elixirs. First is a test subject, whose slashed open body begins to gradually heal, their transplanted tumor devoured by healthy cells. Then is the sick patient, who rejoices at his eternal farewell with death. You are all fools! Suddenly, the face of the man that instigated this disaster begins to contort as anthropoid limbs, mollusk tentacles, plant vines, and a stale, fetid life forms comes bursting endlessly from their skin. The snapped syringe leaks the elixir onto the bodies of the nurses and researchers as the resulting explosion of biomass crushes the experiment pod walls. They cry out in suffering, their swollen bodies blending together and piercing each other's fragile skin. This is the medicine you asked for. Grow, grow! The immortal monsters burst out of the laboratory and staggers into the plaza of the constitutional state. It was at this moment that another planet was pronounced dead. So, now I'm traumatized. The extrapolation focused so much on the second half of the equations lore. Like, at first I thought it was like very interesting seeing like this entity trying to help out people but then being abused by like higher political powers. The fact that they focused so much on that part, to the point of seeing how badly these people's experiments failed, that it literally brought disaster to the entire planet, and it led to literal monstrosities surging from like their bodies, is so scary. I need to learn more about this like entity. I would love to know more, but it's also so terrifying. The Elixir Seekers. When 333 nations in the planetary system dwindle to mere names, the destiny of annihilation has already visited. Following the path laid out by the curse of the dead, cessation of war fails to heal the wounds that have no bottom line. All residents had their DNA shredded and shattered, and even the president, cowering in his bunker, has not been spared. You pull with all the knowledge you've amassed in your lifetime, but the deformities and organ failure grip the other end of the rope tightly, dragging people into the afterworld. Until one day, a foreign envoy with branches sprouting out of his back arrives with a divine elixir. He halts the spreading of the festering disease, preaching to us that only with their divine power can salvation for the residents be achieved. The merciful Sanctus Medicus spreads their healing wings, lifting the heavy burden of suffering from humanity's shoulders, and quenches all worldly desires with their immortality elixir. The fleet from the Seaview Nebula sets sail, seeking the elixir from the hands of Yaoshi, aiming to quell the audacity of perpetual death and epidemic. Yaoshi's shadow is always dancing, either inches away or flickering over to the other side of the world. You grow increasingly agitated. Even if you had the elixir, there wouldn't be any point to it at all if your homeland had met its demise. Following the trail left by the envoy and legend of Yaoshi, you envy greatly those who have been blessed by them. Plant disciples covered in flowers bury the first fruit that they grow each day as an offering to Yaoshi. These seeds grow into lush forests that blot out the night sky. They wish the fleet a successful voyage and give you a wee flower that will never wither so long as it is planted in water. Express your gratitude. Overloaded operations led to material fatigue, forcing the fleet to stop and rest. Several traveling merchants pass by and board, bringing warnings from the Xianzhou Alliance advising you to seize this voyage for the elixir. Angrily refute. If there was no Yaoshi, who would save the Sea View Nebula from its stubborn disease? Within 2 generations, they would have disappeared into the torture of illness, leaving behind only an empty quadrant and a stinky old ghost town. There will be no more strife or fear, a utopia that the fairy tale writers would not dare to create. That is your future. After voyaging through 81 different worlds and approaching desperation, the fleet finally sees their continuance against the light of the rising sun. You fall to your knees, tears streaming down your cheeks. Please, gift us eternal life. In the blink of an eye, the compassionate God has disappeared like a ghost. You can still feel their invigorating vitality pouring out of you. Alright, not gonna lie, they had me on the first half. I genuinely thought that Yaoshi had completely abandoned this individual. I was like, yeah, no, I don't really care, and just boop, disappeared. No, it turns out that they actually just gave them the power and went away. It's interesting. I love how through this we can kind of see more of the positive sides of the abundance, because there's people that genuinely are afraid of dying and they want to save their planet, and Yaoshi sort of promises this. There's a lot of limitations in how, like, mind control, ethically speaking, would be good to save your planet, but I mean, people are trying, and at least I appreciate these sort of things, you know? It brings out more context and growth to the entire world, which I love. And oh boy, with that, we have covered every single equation that can be found within Star Rail's Divergent universe human comedy, and oh, I feel exhausted after this one. I feel like this is probably the longest session where I was like reading, also because on one hand, I was horrified. On the other hand, there were a lot of different words that I will admit I couldn't really pronounce. So if there's so many mispronunciations, I am so sorry. But that being said, no, I genuinely had way too much fun reading all of these. In particular, I feel like the blue rarity equations, the very first one-star equations, whatever you want to call them, they were very tame in comparison. Like, not what am I saying? The 4-star ones were the tame ones. Okay. You can see that my brain is probably not working right. But yeah, no. The 3-star equations were horrifying. The 4-star equations, as few of them were terrifying, but I feel like at least it was like half-seas. Half were like pretty chill. Like terrifying, but chill. And you know, terrifying, cosmically terrifying. And then the 5-star equations, like, I genuinely enjoyed them a lot. But yeah, as a whole, just the sheer depth of quality in these equations in particular surprised me way more than I expected. Herbplucker became my favorite, literally, at the end. I mean, it was literally one of the last ones that I read, but still, learning more about how messed up the world can be, and how the Herbplucker is literally just trying to help, but not being allowed to, and a perfect combination of abundance and nihility. Yeah, it really became one of my favorite equations in this entire segment, right? With all that being said, though, thank you so much for watching. This video, this series is being a blast, and I'll hope to see you all in the next 5 parts, because we still have 5 more paths to cover. So yeah, thank you so much for your time. I'm hoping you have a great and wonderful rest of your day, night, morning, whatever time zone you're currently watching this video at, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye.